And welcome to Pulp Mythos. I'm Brian here with Larry and Spencer, and we're going to be discussing Why Women Kill Season 2, Episodes 1 and 2. If you've not hit the sub button or the bell, please do so. We're going to be doing these reviews every single week. Not sure if we're going to get one episode a week or two, but either way, we will be doing these reviews. Leave a comment, leave a like, that helps push the video. And, we talked about doing this a couple weeks back. We watched the trailer. None of us had seen season 1, so I really didn't know completely what to expect. The trailer looked cool. But I have to say, I love this. Like, and I mean love as in love, love. I started texting people, telling everybody, you have to watch this show. This shit is really, really good. What did you guys expect going into this? Did you expect to like it as much as I'm liking it now? How did y'all feel?
And who was in the trailer when I was watching it, I recognized a lot of them. The only one I know, like by name, was Nick Frost. And all the other people in it, I've seen them in other things. So the trailer plays it up as kind of like a dark comedy. So I was super excited about it. However, after watching it, it caught me by surprise how clever it was, how well done it was. All the twists with Nick Frost's character. Everything was so well written that it didn't feel hokey or over the top, although it super was.
Yeah.
It almost felt grounded in a completely ridiculous kind of way, and I loved it.
Real quick, it reminded me almost of like old school, like early '90s Tim Burton. Like before he went way off the rails, but sort of that dark humor, a little bit of stylization, but not over the top. But yeah, that's what the vibe I was getting, especially with the narration too.
Yeah, that's what it felt like to me also. And, I really wasn't expecting much from this show. I thought it would be okay, but I didn't think it would, sort of captivate me the way it did, and it, like you said, I'm actually very excited for the next episode. Like you said earlier, whether they're doing 2 episodes per week or not, we're going to be watching it. Prior to watching this, if they were these 2 episodes, I wasn't sure whether I'd be able to do that. I'd be like, I don't know if I got time for this show, but I am really, really engrossed and surprised by the quality of the whole thing. Like I'm really invested in the little drama and everything else that's going on in this series right now.
I'm a sucker for sets. Like I'm always watching shows and movies and really paying attention to the sets and the amount of detail that they put in every single room in this show. I'm like I was absolutely loving that as well.
There are some really good sets, and it's the sort of thing, and they do a good job of showing contrast too, whether we're in our main character's home and you see that sort of lower to middle class setting, and that you see the different in the classes when you go from one character to when you go to the mansion and you see the wealth and everything, and and there's just a lot of really great set design there, and you definitely get a feeling for whatever location it is they're trying to portray. They do a good job of piecing it together really well.
The core of the story of this season is all about Alma, who it's 1949. Her husband's a veterinarian. She's a housewife, like you said, sort of that upper middle class zone, but not in the elite class, where there's this garden club, and it's called the Elysium Park Garden Club, and a space is available, and she wants in, and that is sort of the root of everything. Everything happening around the story is all connected to her trying to get in that club, and those things including discovering her husband is a serial killer, the leader of that club trying to kill her husband to get his wealth, accidentally, well, it wasn't her fault, but her neighbor being killed and her having to cover that up and hide the body. All these things are playing out, in the 2 episodes. It's really, edge of your seat, like what's going to happen next. But let's focus on the serial killer plot line real quick, because I damn near dropped. I'm not even, the whole idea of, oh, your mouth drops or you drop something, you drop a drink or whatever. I was holding a drink, and when he was in the room and I realized what he was going to do to the character, Maisie. I almost dropped my drink. I was like, "Oh shit!" Like I was sitting on the edge of my bed. I was like, "Oh my god!" It legitimately shocked me. It was so grim, so disturbing, and yet the show does play comedy. Even in a scene like that. But no, man, it was so disturbing. Did it shock you guys as much? Did you see it coming? Because I did not at all.
I definitely didn't see it coming. Once it happened, his whole demeanor and everything, it made sense. And how they did it was great. But no, that wasn't something that I anticipated at all. The Dexter-esque kind of trophy keeping serial killer, and then listening to him justify it to himself that he's doing them a favor. That's a narcissistic serial killer. Like, he's trying to do something great, and from the beginning of the episode, that's not how he seemed. That was a very big twist, and for them to reveal it, episode 1?
Yeah.
I'm super curious as to how they're going to tie that into the story, because that's a pretty big revelation to expose that early on. So I am curious as to how he is going to play into the rest of the season now.
Yeah, same here. That was such a big surprise early on. I thought it was going to be something else, like that maybe a serial killer lived there previously or something, or these people and that these people were murdered, and that they were worried that potentially they might be framed for this, or it might look like they're doing. Or I thought maybe even the daughter was a murderer, because she seemed a little too well put together to be a part of this family. So I thought maybe it was her. And because at that the show is called Why Women Kill, so I assumed, okay, well, the daughter's the killer.
Yeah, not why Nick Frost kills.
Yeah, because it was interesting, because it all focused. The mystery started when Alma found this little piece of jewelry in her attic, and that had me. I was like, okay, there's something to that. There's a name, and then she learns that the person that it belonged to had died around the date that was on the piece of jewelry, and so that started getting my, like you, Larry. I'm like, oh, what the hell is going on? Where are we going with this? And then we had been building up the Maisie character throughout the episode. Her dog was put to sleep at the beginning, and Nick Frost's character, was it Bertram?
Mm-hmm.
He had been seeing her she sings in the evenings, so it makes you think, okay, he's going to have an affair, or at least he's considering it. But no, that was not the case at all. He was just plotting to kill her because she was sick, and he kills people that he believes are suffering. And what was really disturbing was the fact that his process for doing it is identical to what he does to animals, which we get a glimpse of at the beginning of the episode. So that whole dynamic, I'm like, oh man. And then he keeps a souvenir, and he's really obsessive about these souvenirs, to the point when in the second episode, Alma's like, you got to throw that shit away. He's like, no, I don't want to. And that's disturbing her. She's like, why do you need these trinkets? He is absolutely a serial killer, and he desires to have trophies, I guess. He says it's to honor them. That's his reasoning.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you just go back and watch a bunch of confessions of serial killers, that's probably a lot of them. With it, I was just trying to honor what I did, honor my help.
Right. Yeah, that's the sort of behavior that you see in like Dexter as well. He kept his trophies and whatnot. I believe they were like little slides,
blood,
little blood samples and whatnot. And that's a serial killer thing. That's not I'm putting people down as a mercy thing. That's like, that says that he takes some degree of enjoyment from it, and that maybe he's trying to mask it as like, well, I'm only killing people who are going to die anyway, and it's a mercy, and etc. But he has his little rituals that he does and everything that says that this man is clearly very mentally ill. Because he was rattling off the illnesses, and one of them was alcoholism. Yeah, right. Yeah. That caught me off guard. I was like, alcoholism. Like, that person could have lived for God knows how many decades and been fine.
Oh, yeah, that line caught me. I wonder, there was a line where she's hiding when Alma learns the truth, and she's hiding behind a door, and we find out later she's escaping the house, but he starts going into the first one. He's like, well, she asked. The first one asked, and the whole show sort of slows down, and he's going into it very slowly about how, oh, it was so wonderful, and I helped her, and we don't know who this is or the details of the story. And I was wondering if we were ever going to get a flashback, because we do get a flashback of when Alma and Bertram meet. I believe it was a dance in 1926, and he was saving a baby bird, and I thought it was a cool sequence, just for a quick little, hey, this is how they met. We're gonna build this huge set and have this dance, and do all this. So it made me wonder, oh, we're going to get more flashbacks. Perhaps that event when he did his first murder.
I think it's going to, and just because based off the title of the show and what it's about, the why women kill, I think what's going to happen is Alma is going to kill Birdie. I think that's, to me, the thing that makes the most sense, and I don't know why yet, or if she's going to use his expertise to help her get what she wants. Like, I'm not 100% sure. I did watch a trailer for season 1, and it seemed as though a lot of that was relationship kill, because it was like 3 different storylines that all took place in different times, and a lot of them were relationships, which is why they were murdering each other. But I think that this may play into that as well, and I think that Birdie probably won't make it out of this season. And that being said, it may change her character completely as far as, why she did it. If she's going to start basically taking his role and start killing other people, because she's such a kind-hearted, loving character, and Alma to change into being able to murder or being able to do those things, I think that that's going to be a story arc for her character through the season. Now, if it heads that direction, I have no idea, but I think that her story arc is going to be the one with the biggest change in it.
Well, yeah, because we're seeing already, like, early on, a selfish streak that she really wants to be a part, of this guarding club, and she wants that recognition and everything, and that she's seems to be willing to go to some lengths for that, and that part of the reason, seemingly the only reason, that she didn't go to the police about her husband's actions, were because it's like, oh, she'll never get in now, and it'll, like, what will people say and everything, and how it will, personally affect. It's not about doing the right thing for her right now. Right now, it's about, her status and getting her recognition in this club, that she's so close to getting this thing she wants. So she's like, to hell with it. We'll hide these murders.
The other side of the whole story, so, we have all her and her husband and, all that going on, is the Rita storyline, which almost gets equal time. Rita is sort of the leader of this social club, this Elysium Park Garden Club, and she's married to a guy named Carlo who's 80 years old. She assumed he would have died at least a decade ago. She married him when he was like 65, and he's still kicking. He even has a stroke and falls down the stairs and has a stroke in this episode, and is unable to speak, but no, he's alive, and the doctor's like, he may live another 20 years. So she is just fed up. She wants him dead. She wants his millions. We know he's from Texas, and she's having an affair with a upcoming actor named Scooter, which is played. His name is a gag throughout both episodes, but turns out Scooter is having an affair with Dee, who is Alma and Bertram's daughter. I mean, the web being woven is so crazy. And then on top of that, Rita has hired a private detective, which is one of my favorite characters, Vern Loomis. Love me a good gumshoe. And he's investigating, and he solves it quickly. He figures out that it's Dee, but basically tells her, yeah, I won't rat on you, So all that's happening. Any specific part y'all want to talk? Oh, Catherine. Carlo has a daughter named Catherine who's also wealthy. She comes in and basically warns Rita, hey, if I find out there's any grounds that I can get you divorced on, I will, and I'll take everything from you. So Rita's whole point of the relationship with Scooter and wanting the money, she basically feels she's getting older, and she's, losing her youth, and that's what's bothering her, and that's why she wants, I guess, that freedom. And my boy Scooter is over here getting it from every damn body. Any direction y'all want to go with any of those characters or those plot lines?
Scooter. Go ahead, Larry.
Oh, well, I was saying that, between Scooter and Rita and Alma, then there seems to be this, and I guess Alma's daughter as well to some degree. There seems to be this whole theme of selfishness and greed, and just people just trying to get what they want out of life, regardless of how it affects others. Because Scooter clearly wants Rita's wealth and her backing and her money in order to further his goals. Rita wants her husband's money and his power and everything, and she's only married to him for that reason and hoped that he would die 10 years into the marriage. And Alma seems to be well, she initially does seem like a good person. She shows a lot of good traits. She seems to be willing to do a lot of bad just to be part of this garden club, to have this social status. And I know that initially in the opening it says that the story isn't so much about Rita, but it definitely feels very much about her. Like you said, it seems like the other side of the story too. Like at the very least, like this is our B plot. Because the show's called Why Women Kill, and she's the main person we see trying to kill somebody. She's trying to kill her husband, and we get seemingly as much of her story as we do of Alma's story.
Yeah, I love Scooter. It's funny because he mentions it. He mentions basically using Rita as a meal ticket. He doesn't want to be with her. He doesn't care. He just is using her to pay his bills, pay his rent, and everything because he's trying to get into the old acting business, but he hasn't been successful yet. So he is sleeping with the older rich lady and just using her until he can get up off his feet, which kudos. That storyline is comedic gold because it's just everything. The scene where she's on the couch and they're doing the nasty, and Carlo comes out. He's like, "Who's down there?" And she's like, "Shh, no one, dear." He falls down the stairs, and they're like, "Oh shit!" So he's like throwing underwear on. It's every bit of Scooter's scenes are funny. He's not necessarily stealing the scenes, but every scene he's in, I was already expecting to start laughing because it was just great. And you know how they introduce him when he's practicing his lines, and not a single one of them were delivered well or convincing. It's Scooter's probably my favorite sub character at this point. Nick Frost, I love Nick Frost. So he's out of the main group of folks, he's by far my favorite. But out of the little sub characters, the daughter and everybody else, I love Scooter. And I'm expecting to laugh every time I see him pop up on the screen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like you said, every moment with him is played for comedy. Even scenes where he's not there, but they're about him. Like when Carlo, when Rita pretends to tip him and take the bags and everything, and Carlo's daughter gets suspicious, but not about what you think, And she said something. Rita's like, "What?" He's like, "See," she's like, "If this is how you're spending my father's money, then I really am concerned." She's like, "A whole dollar?"
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I'm glad you brought that up. This is a weird sidetrack, but Alma, okay, she goes to buy a dress. This is 1949, so I would expect, yeah, $1 a lot of money. She goes to buy a dress, and wasn't it like what,
$800?
$800.
I looked up how much inflation that was.
I was like, how? Yeah, that was my thought too. I was like, what the hell would that dress have cost? Well, you looked it up.
Yeah, it's $8,690 with
It's
inflation.
insane.
Yeah, because I was curious. I was like, I know that's a lot, but I was like, I'm curious as to how much. So I looked it up. It's like 8,000 something.
Because I'm like, that's a lot to 800 is a lot today. I mean, but you a nice dress, I could see it a couple grand, but holy shit, yeah, that was my thought. I was like, what would that dress be? Yeah, and with inflation, what was that dress costing?
Right, because we're in a period where like sodas cost what, a nickel or something, and
in the diner where Dee was working, if you looked on the wall, they had all the prices. It's like egg bacon sandwich 50 cents. So I was looking at all those prices, and like nothing was like more than like 75 cents.
Yeah, so yeah, $800 for a dress is just insane, and it's like there's no way she would have been able to afford that. No way. And it's just like and the length she's going to be a part of this club just really doesn't seem worth it. But I mean, the show's clearly about greed and selfishness. Those are two underlying plot lines seemingly in everybody's story, and uh, it's just like I'm just curious how far is Alma willing to go. Like she's taking some major steps. She's concealing some big things at this point. Just to be a part of this club, to seem just to climb the social ladder. Like to what extent is she willing to go? Like, is she willing to kill? Is she one of the murderers mentioned? That in the title, or is it just Rita we're talking about, or does Alma's daughter finally get sick of Scooter, get sick of being stepped on, and retaliate in some way?
I looked up because I wasn't 100% sure. But that's pretty damn close. It was 8,646. So,
Jeez. It's interesting, Larry. You mentioned, yeah, the one of the themes is selfishness. You're right. Rita is selfish. Alma is being selfish. Obviously, um, Bertram is selfish because he gets the joy from killing. Everyone is about themselves. But the one character that's very interesting is Vern, because he's a detective who up front says that he's selfish. He's like, I'm all about the money. You pay me money, I'll do the job. But in the end of the second episode, he proves that's not the case. He goes, he helps Dee. He tells her he's not going to tell on her, and he's doing a non-selfish thing. So it is funny that the one character who openly is like, yeah, I'm just about the paycheck, to hell with everything else, is the one that actually seems to have a heart and
Right.
be concerned about other people. And interesting contrast there in terms of how the characters are playing out. I'm very interested to see where he goes in this storyline. Is he going to get wrapped up in some of these murders and learn the truth? Is him and Dee, is there something there between those two, or is he just looking out for this young woman who he sees being taken advantage of to some degree by Scooter in terms of emotional manipulation? I don't know. I think that's an interesting character trait.
that is a good question, though, because how closely he is already tied to Rita. You have Scooter, who's already tied into stuff. Scooter has witnessed Rita already just not giving a shit and then being mad when she found out that Carlo might make it. You have all these characters that he's already intertwined with. I wonder if he's going to be the one that breaks the case and convict all these separate characters of a murder by the end of it. Like, I wonder if he's going to be the one that basically sheds light on all the cases, since he's already kind of intertwined with all the families.
Well, yeah, and he takes, like you said, he's the least selfish person, even though he tries to present himself as selfish and in it for himself and the money. And not only that, but he's not just a detective. He was also previously law enforcement, so that I get the feeling he's the type of character that went in it to do good things, to solve these types of crimes. So I feel like he will, indirectly, he'll start to notice little things, and then he'll get very, very involved, and then he'll sort of be doing his own investigation that has nothing to do with what he's being paid for, just because he's a good guy.
We get the nosy neighbor, we spoke about earlier, who in the final sequence makes a fatal error in taking those garden shears and jamming them in the dirt, pointing sharp point up, and then climbing the side of the house to listen in on Alma and Bertram's conversation. And it was one of those scenes where I saw where it was going pretty quickly. I was like, oh no. She's learning all their secrets. It's like, okay, this is only 2 episodes in. Something's got to happen here, and she does in fact fall to her death. And then we're left with the moment of what happens next. What happens next? And Alma going to the selfish thing. She's like, well, this could come back to mess with my chances of getting in the garden club. So we gotta cover this up. She keeps looking at her garden, which leads one to believe, okay, they're gonna bury her in the garden. But how, we don't know, does she have any family or, okay, she's going to have a vacant house next door. How are they going to cover that up? How much does this is going to factor in, I'm assuming, to the rest of the season, trying to keep the secret that she died. And they didn't even kill her. Because Bertram was like, well, we'll just say she accidentally fell because she did accidentally fall. I mean, you could say, well, when she closed the window that's what caused her to fall, but she didn't know it was an accident. But yeah, that's going to play into, I'm assuming, the rest of the season.
Yeah, it was a pretty innocent kind of death. She did fall. She was basically being, I don't want to say peeping Tom because that wasn't her intent, was to watch them get naked, but I guess nosy Nancy. I don't know. I don't know. But she, her climbing the side of the house and everything and then falling. If a detective came, there's not DNA evidence back in the 40s. There wasn't all. They would look at, there's this thing in the ground. She's laying on top of it. Where she's at, there'd be a lot of things that they would probably look at and they would get in zero trouble. However, you have Birdie who has all these trinkets and everything. So if they searched the house at all, if they did anything, now they have the cops' eyes on them. So I feel like, their only defense for this is to, cover it up. It's the only way to keep the cops off of them.
Yeah, and it's the sort of thing where, if they just reported it, it would be fine and there'd be a quick investigation. And heck, honestly, I doubt that, anybody from the Garden Club would even read about it. It would just be, potentially it'd be a small story and then in the, obituary section, but it likely wouldn't affect her. But she's so hell bent on being a part of this group that she's covering a murder. She's digging a hole for herself. And I imagine, like, up until it's exposed, probably during the last one or two episodes, she will have pretty much dug her own grave, proverbially, and like there'll be all these things that have mounted up that weren't really serious crimes for Alma. Like, as far as I know, Alma may never actually kill in this series. She may never kill, but she may try to cover up so much stuff that she looks very suspicious, and it looks like she's done some very bad thing. Not that covering up a murder isn't a very bad thing, and at that covering for her husband, but it's going to look like she's heavily involved.
Yeah, because the Maisie murder specifically, more so than any, she definitely would go to prison for covering up. Like, she was, not only does she know he did it, she went to the apartment, saw the body, saw everything, touched it. No, she didn't kill her, but she could have turned him in. She decided not to. She was going to cover it up. So that would have, I don't know, 1949 law, what the extent of what her charge or prison time would be. But yeah, she's in it now. You could maybe argue some of the older cases, but that specifically the Maisie one, that she's involved.
She'd have to do community service at like a soda pop shop. At least in the movie theater.
Yeah, absolutely. And it'll look like
that's your view of the 40s. Right? Well, I guess it would have been the 50s.
Right.
Yeah, because it's 49. So.
Well, yeah, it's 49 at this point.
Close, man. It's close. It's driving into horse shit and like.
It's like it's community service at the Coca-Cola factory or something, just bottling Coke.
Or like the local drugstore, and they just gotta make root beer floats for people.
Just working with a few things we know about the 40s.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like they got Birdie on a ball and chain, working on cars with a bunch of greasers.
Yeah, that's what they did then, right?
Yeah, that's all I know about the 40s. There were greasers and what you call them, preps or socias. Yeah,
Yeah,
They had knife fights and they worked on cars.
and
Talking about the outsiders, man.
But yeah, it's one of those things where right now, at the very least, if you were a detective and you found the body, you'd be like, okay, yeah, she stabbed her with the shears. And yeah, Matt's here, so I'm not talking shit about mechanics at all. I'm just saying that's all we know about the 40s. But yeah, you would assume that she murdered this woman with the shears, and when she caught them, at the window, because she's like, yeah, the truss broke, but she survived that, and then, so Alma stabbed her with the shears and then buried her in the garden. That'd be your assumption as a detective.
Yeah, at this point, yeah. If they discover the body buried in the garden, yeah. I mean, she set herself up. You're right, Larry. Wouldn't that be some shit? Is that Alma goes down for multiple murders in the end, none of which she committed? It's possible. It's definitely a direction the show could go.
Right.
But also what's interesting, like I said, is the Rita story, because I'm like, where is that going? That's the one that's getting all a lot of comic relief, because the scene in the bathtub scene. She was going to drown Carlo, and then Catherine came early, or she thought she had left drugs at the drugstore, but in fact they were in the car. She comes upstairs, she lets some of the water out, and the look on his face looking at her, he can't say shit, but he's just like, you fucker, you're trying to kill me. So yeah,
I just thought of an angle here, with her trying to kill Carlo. She may succeed, but with the mess Rita may succeed at that, but with the mess that's building around Alma, what if she kills Carlo? Carlo's daughter starts to get suspicious and everything. Not suspicious, but she assumes instantly she killed her. But around the same time, the detective figures out what's going on with Alma and her husband and everything. And since this woman since Alma has gotten into the garden club, she's very close. The assumption is that Alma killed Carlo. So now Rita gets away with murdering her husband and gets everything she wants. And in fact, potentially even has Carlo's daughter comforting her, is the thing.
I'm calling it now. The last shot of the whole series is Alma in prison tending to a garden. I called it.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
that's how the show ends.
I'd be okay.
Yeah, I'd be fine with it as well.
Or on a ball and chain in an old timey pharmacy, making some soda pop.
Making soda. A soda shop.
Is it at the prison? So
working at the prison pharmacy.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said up front, didn't know what to expect. Absolutely loving this show. Very much looking forward to the remainder of it. 8 episodes left. Not sure. Like I said, I don't know. We were only supposed to get one this week. Matter of fact, the IMDb page said 1 episode. It didn't change until the day of. So I don't know if that was just for the premiere or if it's going to be weekly. No clue. We'll find out obviously on Thursday. Guys, have anything else to say regarding the first 2 episodes of Why Women Kill season 2?
The only curiosity, well, not the only curiosity I have, I am curious as to what the time frame is going to span for the show. I only say that, I'm not episode wise, but it starts in 1949, and I'm curious if it's going to go over a couple years or if it's going to be, spanned over a couple months of time where she's trying to get into this club, or if it's going to have any time jumps. And that's just pure curiosity. There's nothing that would warrant me to like or dislike that for either reason. It's one of the things I was curious about.
Yeah, and I just kind of want to say in closing that I got a little mad at first because I had a very busy day when this dropped, and I only expected to watch 1 episode, but I was definitely happy that we had 2 by the time I finished the first one, because I was very much in that mode of, what happens next? I want to see the next one because I'm so engrossed in this. It's surprisingly good TV.
Yeah, absolutely loved it. And if the showrunners are listening, 1 a week would be fine. We don't need to
We don't need to. We don't need a surprise week where they drop 3 episodes.
It's just from a content creator standpoint. Yeah, obviously, I would prefer 8 more weeks as opposed to 4 more weeks of the show. That's mostly where that comes from selfish reasons. The theme of the show, but yeah, absolutely loving it. Anything else?
Nope.
I think that's everything.
All right, we will have a review next week for the next episode or 2, and we appreciate everyone listening.
Bye.
Bye.